Hello and welcome to Animals Labs. This is the third part of our 5-part series in Incarnate classes and early and late game builds. Today we start with the ninja style fox creatures running in and out, very fragile, glass cannon type class. They have some wicked interactions with clones and roots and controls. They do an awful large amount of damage, but you'll see they can clear entire waves of enemies and huge amounts of creatures very quickly with the right setup. So I've gone for an early game build here, and I did include an epic piece, but I thought you're not really going to use this piece and you could change it out depending on which piece you had. Mostly you've done it because you're looking for the crit rate, which is up here. You know, this will help the crit rate with the champion, help them gain from it. But we've got Bane, attack enemies in your presence, and that's everyone in your particular zone of control. Bleed, damage per turn. Root, they can't move and they lose defense. And burn, so again it's all about those bleed and roots and burns. You could change this out for some of the abilities like cunning to steal their initiative. The reason I went with Bane is because some of the Eternals that you can get available to you, if you're able to get hold of them, do trigger off bleed and burn, so this is a good way of starting them out. Windlash, quite like this one. It's actually got a fairly decent range. It's range 4, I believe, where it can hit from some decent distance away. It's just a basic attack that roots your enemy, so you can root them and then run, which is quite nice. I like that. Soul piece, this is the piece that you get to do every turn. Attack an adjacent enemy, attack target enemy, teleport one back, and then do an AoE attack damage, so you can put out multiple targets, especially in the early game. That's important as you tend to get clumped up. You don't have to worry about too much here, but you want to build them, as I say, if you can, for crit rate and crit damage, much like you'd expect. Another piece I've seen, again, if you have this, is attack all enemies in a line, teleport onto the next move. But early game, they're pretty squishy. You wanna pair them with something like a Titan who can taunt and keep your enemies focusing them rather than the ninjutsu. But these are your damage, like single target damage dealers. And I quite like the aesthetic. So we're in the hall now, and this is my late game, super hardcore. I'm going to kill a single target, move on, kill another target, move on, kill another target, and my damage will scale depending on which Eternals we have. So this is an all legendary build here, but the helmet, the soul piece actually probably isn't needed. You could change that out with anything that gives crit rate. This one gives 13% crit rate, but you can find some pieces, the Archon pieces for example, give a similar amount of crit rate, and you can change this out with any particular piece. The combination of these two pieces is here for kill streak, attack an enemy in range with an extra 30% crit rate. So we're trying to get this. If I click off, we have 29% crit rate. We get an additional crit rate for being behind the enemy, and this gives us an additional 30%. If this ability kills the target, take an extra turn. So you can kill them, have another turn, move on again. Feral Instinct is here to increase the chain. Gain Vampire, which is basically wherever you do damage, you gain a portion of that damage back as health for 4 turns, and then you take an extra turn. This is both important for the combo because it keeps you alive with the health, but it also allows you to move significantly far across the map. You have a movement range of 5. If you move 5 at the beginning of your turn, and then you pop this, then you end turn, you actually have an additional move of 5 that you can do again. So you can go 10 hexes or squares and then activate your kill streak. So if an enemy decides to run away, they're pretty hard to run away from a full-on Nizari built as such. So this is one of the Eternals I'd like to put on this end game build, or even the early game build, to be honest. When you attack an enemy that you're above, so you have to be at least one above them on the terrain, and they can't see you, you ignore 50% of their defense. So if you could set up an enemy, especially with that increased move that you have, you come in behind, hit them with your increased crit rate, your increased damage, and just blow them apart because they've got half of their defense. Remember, this potentially stacks with root, which you can get off other classes, the judge for example. that we saw in the last episode. You can ignore their defense and cleanse kill them, get onto the next person in the chain with your kill streak. If you're struggling with crit rate, you've got Grease the Lightning. 5 crit rate for each basic ability you've equipped. And then I'm going to insert in here just 2 more images. So this is one I've had to pull up a stock image because I don't have one to hand. But when you kill an enemy, steal all of their buffs and gain 10% of their max HP and attack. So if you're chaining off of kill streak, you can gain some HP, so you're staying alive. You gain any of their buffs, so if they've got like attack up or surge or something that will help you increase your chain, you take that as well. And you gain attack, so and it's obviously a reference to the old a movie that we all know from back in the day. It's another way of increasing the chain, increasing your damage. These are glass cannons. You're not going to build them to tank things. Definitely those are 2 builds to take into account. I love the early game one for cleaning enemies and such very quickly. Thank you for watching this episode of Animals Labs. I ask that you like and subscribe, and if you've got any comments below, add those. And the next episode that we're going to have is going to be on the Titan, who we will look at. They're a tanky bruiser tank style class, very good for taunting stuff. But until then, until the next episode, have a good day.